What's going on, everyone? My name's Mech. I'm coming to you guys with another video. Today I'm coming to you guys with what is going to be like pretty much like a series that I'm going to be making. And I don't really know how to explain the series other than like if I imagine if a species that wasn't us had to get explained what it was like to be us. This is pretty much the traits or I'm breaking down individual elements of what it is like to be human into one video. Um, into I don't know how many parts of this series are gonna exist, but we're gonna have to see by the end of this. But there's a lot of elements of being human, but um, I'd say this first one here is definitely a prime one, and that is maintenance or maintenance. Um, I've voiced my opinions on maintenance in this on this channel a couple times, at least once. Um, and I think people in the comments at some point at least on either somewhere on this channel or on my YouTube at some point have mentioned um, that INTJs don't particularly like maintenance. But that doesn't make sense. You think other types would be worse at that, but you know, uh, I don't know. It seems like my type, there's a pretty unanimous decision that we don't really care for maintenance. Probably because it distracts us from our goals and whatnot. But yeah, so this first video is about maintenance. And so part of being human is just maintaining really monotonous tasks. I labeled it here, maintaining basic monotonous tasks. This is just part of being human. Like this is something no one's getting out of. It's everlasting and take it for what you will. Some people can deal with it differently, right? Some of these points I'm going to be making on these videos are going to hit different people in different ways. And maybe also in the comments you guys could express your relationship with each point that I make um, regarding this series I'm making here. But I have a list of some of the um, monotonous tasks that humans have to maintain. So, number one, hygienic cleaning of the physical shell you inhabit. So you're stuck in a shell, right? Your entire consciousness is stuck in a shell. Um, for some reason, if the shell breaks or it's destroyed, your consciousness is lost with no current proof that it can exist outside of the shell and no technology that allows it to exist outside of the shell. So you're stuck in it, and you have to constantly maintain it. But the first way in which you maintain it, I suppose, is I mean, I guess not the first. I'm not talking pure physiological yet, but this is just the hygienic cleaning of the shell. So showering, all this bullshit you gotta do, clean this shit all the time. Um, some people like showering for the dopamine, but other people like it. Just a lot of this stuff takes time. Cleaning yourself all the time takes time. Minutes and minutes out of your day. So you gotta maintain it because it's all you have. It's all well, it's not all you have, but it's one of the few things that you'll always have with you, I suppose. Uh, the second point I have here is hygienic cleaning of the physical environment you inhabit. So this would be the room, like the lovely image you're staring at. If you just let your subconscious or unconscious brain run rampant, um, your environment is going to become quite unlivable very quickly, and actually you will become less productive. It'll have a toll on your ability to accomplish goals. Uh, and so maintaining your environment is actually critical, but this is something that a lot of people don't like, as you'll see various MBTI types. They have different experiences with having a clean room. Some have the meme of keeping their room super clean, and other people just their rooms are trashed. I have a very systematic approach to cleaning my room actually, which is, and I've always been like this, whereas let it get dirty, and usually I have like a breaking point that's more intuitive. It's no like specific time period. I try to give it a specific time period, like 4 days, but that doesn't really work. Sometimes you clean it more before then, sometimes you clean it after then. It's really just a point in time in which you're like, okay, I gotta clean this shit, and then I clean it all at once, spick and span, completely clean, and then I go back to, okay, that's out of the way. I'm not going to maintain this at all. So you see what I'm trying to say is that I don't actually maintain the room day by day. I don't keep it like when it's spick and span. I don't take like a cup out of the room instantly, or I don't clean things as I do them. Right? I don't want to when I'm in the field of life. I don't want to have to um, be taxed mentally for monotonous tasks like cleaning the room in real time. I want to do it more all at once, and then leave it be until the next time. So like I said, that time is on average 4 days, but it's not always that way. And I'm sure when I was younger in my teens, it was probably a week, 2 weeks, or until my mom bitched. But um, it is what it is. Obviously, people have different connections to this, but the thing is, it really does actually take a toll on you in a more abstract way mentally, because you can't, for example, let's say you're about to walk out of the door, but you can't find your keys because your room is too dirty. That is a something that can hold you back because, well, it might also affect you emotionally. Well, it took you 2 extra minutes to find the keys. Now, someone that was going to go with you is rushing you or upset, and that's upsetting you. So now the emotional state of the entire trip is drastically, not maybe not even drastically, but just different at all than it would have been if your environment was maintained. So you can quickly see how this can actually affect your living experience, even if it's even if you can still think and live with a dirty room, it will still have an effect on you. Uh, in the same way that having a clean room will have an effect on you, mostly positive. So part of life is actually just maintaining your physical environment. I use the room as the first example, but physical environment can apply to anything such as your car. Your phone is actually a physical environment. You want to make sure you don't keep apps that are actually slowing you down or not having a positive effect on you. So cleaning your phone, now we have virtual things that you must constantly clean and maintain. Obviously, not as frequently, but it's, some people spend, a lot of people spend more time in the virtual environment than the direct physical environment. So in a lot of cases, this, might be, maybe should be prioritized in a lot of people more than it is. But anyway, that was just another point. Personally, like I said, I don't really care for this stuff. I do it because it's absolutely necessary to, like I said, uh, to life and to maintaining productivity. But um, there's not a part of me that likes it, which is weird because usually I would be able to develop myself to like it emotionally. Because I can do that with a lot of things. Like, okay, well, then, it's sort of that radical acceptance. Like, I would be able to get to a point which I've radically accepted the fact that I have to um, hygienically clean the physical environment I inhabit. But not the case with this. Obviously, I'm not like having a meltdown about it, but it is what it is. All right, next point. Um, Now we're into physiological uh, things, and also I want to say that I just made this bullet list pretty quick. There's probably more, and if I think of them while I'm recording, I'll mention them. But you have the physiological requirement of eating, which has inconsistent effects on your physical well-being. So not only do you have to eat, which takes time to eat, um, but the food has various effects on you physically. And when I say various, I mean there is a wide range of effects that food can have on you. Not just dopamine wise, right? Because a lot of the times we eat more than we have to just for the pleasure it gets, and we use that pleasure to um, turn that into energy to accomplish goals rather than actually using willpower. Um, which is the reason a lot of people can't actually rely on willpower and stuff. But there's a long list of other infectious things that humans have to deal with that I'll be covering in the other videos in this series. But the physiological requirement of eating, which, as I said, has inconsistent effects on your physical well-being. The issue with this is that even after you eat, this stuff, you have gut bacteria in you and all these other things that it's just so random. You can eat spaghetti one day and you can eat spaghetti another day, and the effect it'll have on you is vastly different. Uh, Yet this is required upon you. So, and it doesn't only just affect your physical well-being, but also your mental well-being. Because sometimes, if you feel physically sick, it can affect the way that you think, which could inhibit productivity. Sometimes, if you go to lunch, eat a big meal, you come back, you're more sleepy. For the 2 hours after lunch, I remember often with my last job, I would end up quite sleepy after lunch, and then I'd get another burst of energy after that. So, and then some other days I'd get more energy right after. So, the random effect can make it quite difficult to live, and the fact that this is a requirement, um, I get that natural selection had to engineer some level of replenishing energy source, and that the food chain wasn't a bad pick. I'm not gonna trust me. I'm gonna be criticizing natural selection a lot in these videos, but for this one, if I could criticize them on anything, it would probably just it would probably be the frequency. It doesn't seem like eating should have to be as required as it is. Like, why many times a day? That's kind of silly. Like, you got to think, and this is something that Arthur Schopenhauer mentioned, but it's you have to consider the fact that, like, when a one animal is eating another animal, it's the animal that's eating the dead animal. That thing is only going to be satisfied for a couple of hours, really, less than a day. But the animal that's getting eaten is only eaten once. It's dead. So if that doesn't, it can't be eaten a second time. Like, so that's crazy. So you have to constantly think of how many animals you eat in a lifetime versus you're just one animal. It's pretty insane. Um, if that doesn't show the disparity of suffering and pleasure in the living conditions of creatures, then I don't know what does. But obviously, my point there is that suffering heavily outweighs the good in life, which obviously eating is a pleasurable experience, unless you're eating garbage in which, or actually, it's funny. They also, I don't know why natural selection engineered this, but often a lot of the things that are healthy for you, um, they actually taste like shit. So I think that's a modern thing. I think that like salt and things were actually are rewarded because they maybe weren't as abundant back then, and now we have people in fucking labs, chemically engineering Doritos to literally be addicting. It's ridiculous, but yeah. But the inconsistent effects on your well-being, being that you can eat the same thing and get different effects all the time, can make life not as easy or enjoyable. But just sometimes just the maintaining. I mean, if you've ever heard like really really depressed people say like I just don't even feel like eating anymore, that is really just them saying that I'm so sick of maintenance that I don't even care to maintain this. So it's sometimes just the taking the time out to eat, um, that can be a hindrance. But um, but yeah, to the next point. The physiological requirement of peeing and pooping the food out at inconsistent times, which have inconsistent effects on your well-being, physical well-being. So yeah, you're constantly pissing. For me, well, every 2 hours or some bullshit. And then pooping is random, and the way that it feels when you pee and poop, you might feel worse after, you might feel better after. Um, it's inconsistent effects. It's just like you're constantly doing this. Uh, it seems it can get I've had many times where I'm like I'm just like I'm not tired of life, but I really am tired of pissing all the time. I think these thoughts. This isn't something that's that outlandish to think. You have the next point, physiological requirement of breathing. This one isn't all that inconsistent. I mean, it is technically if you look at it on a molecular level or anything. But, breathing is sort of the real true one thing you'll always have. Like the one thing you'll really always have is your breath. If you stop breathing, you're dead. pretty quick too before you notice it. I mean, if you stop eating, yeah, you'll die, but it won't be quick, and you'll notice it long before the death happens. Breathing, not so much. You don't have a lot of time to critically think if you're not breathing. So, but yeah, it is a requirement. You do constantly have to do it. Um, I don't think I get sick of breathing because they managed to engineer it in a way that makes it pretty unconscious. So, yeah, the other things seem more conscious. Like, what should I eat? What poison should I put in my body? Or like, do I have to shit yet or not? Or I'm gonna hold my piss. But like breathing, it seems to be pretty consistent. So, but it is a maintenance. It does require maintenance, and or it is a variation of maintenance. So I decided to add it. But you got physiological requirement of sleep, which has inconsistent effects. This is like the big one, like the big bombshell. Um, Sleep is so vital to making life as a human bearable. Yet, um, you're getting, especially in the modern environment, you're getting your body doesn't know when to go to sleep because of all these blue lights on your computers and these screens that keep you awake. Your brain thinks it's day and it's not. Um, and just the inconsistent effects is crazy. I mean, to be truthful, if humans were really, really smart, like, I think if we knew ourselves, which I think making these videos is maybe a description that many people don't really think often about. Um, I'm trying to get to talking about those kinds of things, the things that people aren't talking a lot about, but these are things that humans live with all the time. But if humans were really, really knew themselves, they would definitely have society set up in a different way. I understand it's optimized for profit, it's optimized for this or that and the other thing. But if they were optimized for total effectiveness, they would make waking up to alarm clocks completely illegal, banned. Like everyone, no matter what the task, would never have to wake up to an alarm clock ever. I think that would be uh, a very effective thing. Um, for people who have insomnia, that is probably one of the most hellish things you can live with. But but I don't actually have that. My problem is I sleep hard. I sleep like a rock. 8 hours is a minimum for me. 9 is a little more acceptable, and if I'm deprived, 10 is required. So that's really what sucks. In terms of it saps a lot of your time. It's real unfortunate that it taxes you to the degree that 1/3 of the life for me, maybe even slightly more, is gone by this. But a lot of times it can be an escape. The pain's here. All right, time to sleep. But anyway, let's go back to the original point, which is that it's a requirement, so you can't negate it. And if you try to negate it, you die. I mean, I think the one person stayed up for 11 days, they died. Which has inconsistent effects. Yeah, it just has inconsistent effects. I mean, you could sleep for 8 hours one day, get up for work, feel amazing. Sleep for 8 hours the next night and wake up and feel like a fucking truck hit you. Like I'm serious. And people think that's a figure of speech. I know. I mean, literally, we've all felt it. If you're a human, you know what it's like to feel like. You know what it's like to wake up and feel like a truck hit you. Like boom. Like it's fucking nuts. It's nuts. You wake up in the wrong stage of sleep. You wake up in stage 3 or 4, you're fucked. You gotta wake up right at the end of a cycle, and there's no way to know. We don't have apps yet that tell you, at least with precision accuracy, what cycle of sleep you're in and all that. They've tried, but there's nothing there. We really need nanotechnology and far more advanced technology to help with our current sleeping situation because not only is a lot of the time is it unbearable, but it's really time consuming and yeah, there's just a lot of negative connotations to not getting enough sleep. A lot of people, and this is pretty sad. I'm looking at actually a long list of actually, like I said, I'm going to make different videos for these other topics. But even looking at the other topics, right? We're talking about entire points. Like these are entire videos worth of what it's like to be human. And sleep would, most people would probably have a better life if we could just solve the sleep one. I mean, it really is the secret to life, sleep. Uh, I always say like gurus always try to say like, oh, this one thing is gonna fix your life, which is bullshit because no one thing can fix your life. But if I was ever gonna be a guru about anything and say, hey guys, this one thing will fix your life, I would be, even though it's hypocritical because like I said, it's kind of silly. Like gurus are, it's kind of a silly thing to try and convince people that this one thing is gonna fix their life. But if I was a guru about one thing, it would be sleep. It would be sleep. So so yeah, but the inconsistent effects certainly make life uh, into quite a roller coaster indeed, um, with all things considered. But yeah, this and along with every other variation of maintenance, like at work, you maintain certain tasks. If you guys have any hobbies, you have to maintain certain elements of the hobby in order to stay at the top of that whatever thing it is. That stuff can get monotonous and it's basic because you do it all the time. It turns basic. Even a task other people look at, hey, how do you do that every day? Let's say it's like your favorite hobby, you're knitting. And like to me, it's like I can't do it. I'm stumbling mechanically. I just can't do it. It's basic and boring, and you want to get to the fun part of knitting. That is something that occurs and takes place, and that is something that happens. And these monotonous tasks, they're not just monotonous. They're also basic. So, and obviously I touched on the most basic ones in this video, but any variation of maintenance would fall under this first category of, like I said, this series I'm making really of what it would be like to be human, or what it's like to be human, and how I would explain it to a creature that isn't human, what it's like to be human. That's pretty much what this series is. So yeah, the first uh segment on what it's like to be human is just maintaining basic bullshit. Really, that's the first thing. To some people this isn't so bad, but to other people, like I said, it is not that fun. But but yeah, I'm hoping to bring you guys a lot of these videos all coming up here. So get ready. And what's your guys' opinion on maintenance? How does maintenance affect you? And do you like it, dislike it? Are you just indifferent about it? Like, how do you feel about it? Because I'm honestly curious to hear the range of answers in the comment section. But yeah, until next time.